Hello everybody and welcome back. So what we're going to be doing is talking a little bit about setting up Python on our machine. So we're going to get all the boring bits out of the way and just kind of do a quick little few setups that we will need for later on. This is the type of stuff that you may need to do if you do a fresh install, if you have a brand new machine or something that maybe even doesn't have Houdini installed. So I wanted to kind of contain this all within one lesson so that you can refer back to this. I mean, this will be definitely something handy to hold on to for next time, because you get used to your setup, everything's all done and installed, and then you move to a new machine and now suddenly Python's not working properly. So I just want to show you a few things. Now, this one may sound obvious, but it is definitely important to make sure that Python is actually installed. If we have Houdini installed, by default Python probably will be installed, because I think that it installs it for you. I'm not even sure if maybe Python does come by default with Windows, but whether it does or doesn't, it's easy to install. So you just can use a web browser, search for Python 2.7, download and install it for free. Okay, so as long as Python's installed, this will run like this in your command terminal. It'll show that you actually have Python installed, and you'll be able to run functions in here. Now, once it is installed though, what we want to do is be able to access it not just here inside of our Python shell, but actually inside of command terminals on our computer as well. So if I open up a command prompt, now I want to be able to access Python in here, right? So the goal is that we're just going to type Python and it will load Python, and on my machine it is set up correctly, so it will do this. But on yours, if it hasn't been set up yet, will probably fail to load Python. Okay, so the reason we need this is because you want to be able to apply all of this knowledge across multiple contexts, even just outside of Houdini. So if you want to do maybe a batch rename or moving a bunch of files around, or you can even build your own tools outside of Houdini, right? This is Python. It is not specific to Houdini. It is a very global language. So we want to be able to maybe do this, like for I in range 5, print I, so all of our normal functions that we have done in Python, we can do in here, but only once we've run this, right? So what we need to do to get this to work is if we go to a control panel, right? Now I'm going to show you obviously how to do it on my machine. You may have a different version of Windows. You may have a different operating system entirely. You could be on Mac or Linux. So you may then need to just Google search how to do it on your machine, because I can't cover every single context of different different Windows and different operating systems and things like that. But ultimately what we're looking for is the environment variables. Okay, so I went to System, Advanced System Settings, and then under the Advanced tab is the environment variables. Okay, if yours are somewhere else, I'm sure you'll be able to search and find it. Okay, now in here we have our user variables, but then we also have our system variables, and we're looking at the system variables because we want to be able to access this no matter what user we're logged in as, right? And what we're looking for is the path variable. Okay, so this path variable is basically all the locations where Windows is going to look when you run commands in the terminal, right? So we can click edit on this, and it will show us now a list of all of these locations and paths where Windows is going to search. And you'll see here at the bottom I have this, which you probably won't have, so let me delete it and show you. So if we click new, we're now able to fill in an additional path here, and we're going to give it C:/ and then Python 2.7, right? If you have installed it in a different location, you'll obviously need to give it that specific location. And also if you're using a different version of Python, then you'll you'll enter that in here. But most of it, you guys should be using Python 2.7 for now. I know that it eventually, actually pretty soon, is I think going to be deprecated and moved all to Python 3, but for now it's Python 2.7 in Houdini. All right. So as long as we've added this path over here, and then we can click OK and apply that and close all of this, then if you open a new command prompt, if you had one already open, I don't think it works, so you have to actually close down and open a new one now that we've added that new variable. And now if you just type the word Python and run that, it should run like this. Okay, so now you have access to Python in the command prompt. Okay, so other than that, something else that I want us to do, which is just, really simple, but I want to create a global kind of folder where we store scripts and things, right? So here we are. This is just a recommendation that I have for you, but really we're going to kind of be building on this throughout this course. Is correct folder structure and correct way to store your data, especially if you're a freelancer or something like that. You're going to be working with multiple clients. You're going to be doing different projects. Maybe for a while you actually work remotely for a company, and then you go back to just sort of freelancing for individual projects and things like that. There's a lot of data, and a lot of this is very sort of secret. It's under NDAs and things like that. So you need to be careful with what you do when freelancing, right? And so one of the main goals of this whole course is to help you build the start of a freelance pipeline. So yes, it's learning Python, but then we're also going to be applying that Python to controlling the way that we keep our data separate from different clients, but also allow us to access global tools and things like that. And the very basics of that, before we even get to the Python, is folder structure, like knowing where we want to store things. So what I've done is I created in my work folders, so I have in documents, I've got a work folder where I say this is where I'm going to keep all of my work. Okay, and it's easy because then I can now back this up or something like that, right? So, but inside of work, I've created a global Houdini config area, right? So this is not where I'm going to be working in Houdini files or whatever. That goes under each individual project. Like, right now I'm working in the Rebelway project, so if, inside of here will be all of my project files. And then I could start working for another company, do different things, right? Or I've got a dev area as well. But what I've done is I've created this folder as a place to store scripts, so global scripts, HDAs that are accessible across all projects. So in other words, because if you get an HDA from one company while you're freelancing for them, that should not be accessible for another company. Like, you cannot share things across multiple projects. That's a quick way to get yourself into a lot of trouble. So you want to keep those things separate. So we need to have individual folders where we store HDAs, but you also sometimes develop your own tools. You've got a smoke tool that does some really cool smoke effects very quickly. Well, you don't want to store that in one client's project, because now you can't access it. And the thing is, you built that tool, it's your intellectual property, so you put it somewhere global and you can use it across other projects. So basically there's this idea of having a global area and then these individual project areas. Okay, so go ahead and create yourself a folder in a nice work. You basically just choose where this is going to be. Okay. And we will refer back to this folder quite a lot later on. Okay, inside of this, I've just created a config folder, an HDA folder to store all my HDAs, and then the scripts folder to store scripts. Right. So in here will be our scripts, which we're going to talk about later, and how to access those through PyCharm. And I've got HDAs and then a config as well. Okay, so any sort of config files that we would want to do, any JSONs and things, we would just store here. And this is obviously global. We would then have a similar kind of folder structure in the project folder, and we would want, for example, when we're running our project, so let's say I'm running a project under Rebelway, I'll want it to scan for HDAs in my global location and in the Rebelway, and therefore all my HDAs that I have access to when I'm working in Rebelway is everything that I can use, including global. Okay, so you can go ahead and create those folders, and then later on we'll fill them up. Okay. Now this folder specifically, this scripts folder, we actually need to copy its path. Okay, so I'm gonna copy the path here, because we need to go and make sure that Python knows to search in this location for scripts. Okay. Now we're going to go back to our environment variables. So I'm going to open up a control panel. Probably should have done this all in one go, but it's fine. And now you can see again how we get there. All right, so system, advanced settings, environment variables. But here, instead of appending to an actual one that already exists, we're going to create a new one, unless of course you already have this Python path, right? So I already have created this, okay? But let's say you hadn't, you would just say new, and then just fill in the variable name, and the variable name must be Python path, one word, all caps, okay? I'm not sure that the caps matters, so it is possible that you can have it lower maybe, but I wouldn't try it. I've only ever seen it this way, so just do it all caps just to make sure that it works. So the variable name, and then the value that you give it is going to be the path to that folder where we have our scripts installed, right? Now, and then this is semicolon separated, so if you had to add more paths to this, you would just have it separated by semicolons, or in other words, if you double click here and it's in this list, if we add new ones, those will come up separated by semicolons. Okay. Now this path is essentially saying to Python, you know, go and look in these locations for scripts. Okay. Now, the reason why in here I don't have a whole giant list of things for every project I've worked on is because this is my global one. I want this to always be accessible. But then there is another way of adding paths to the Python path, but you do it as we go, sort of ad hoc, right? And that's what we're going to be building up later, is that when we switch projects, it actually runs a script that adds the project path, like the project script folder, to our current Python path. And so when we switch to Rebelway, we can access Rebelway scripts. Then when I switch to something else, I now can no longer access the Rebelway scripts. So that's how it works, and that's why if we add it to this global location, we can't switch backwards and forwards like that. Okay, so we're only going to add our global one here. Okay, and then we say okay, right. And now, for now, you won't notice any difference with that because we're not trying to call those scripts, especially right now. You won't have any scripts in that folder, but later on we will. Okay. Then I just want to talk about very, very briefly, because we are going to have a whole lesson on this, but I'm going to talk very briefly about the 123 and 456.py. Mostly, I just want to show you where they are installed, but later on we'll have a proper lesson about them, right? So, in that, in fact, let me show you here first. So if you go under Help, and we go under About Houdini, we're going to pop up this little About Houdini dialog. And if you say Show Details, it gives us a long list of different information about our machine and our Houdini session, including, if we keep going down, then it shows us all of our environment variables for this current Houdini session. Okay, and some of these are actually inherited from the environment variables on our machine. Now, the one that we're looking for is this Houdini user pref.dir, okay? So for me, it's over here. And it will be in sort of a default documents location, right? And then it will be, there'll be a folder for the Houdini version that you're using. Now, it doesn't matter, honestly, doing Python, it does not matter what version of Houdini you're in, right? I'm sure they've updated the Houdini module over time, but it very rarely changes. So even when they come out with, you know, when the new Houdini 18 comes out, I guarantee you the Python is going to be exactly the same. You know, this whole course will not be suddenly redundant because they've moved to Houdini 18. Now, when they move to Python 3, then sure, okay, that will then be a whole bunch of new additional sort of syntax and stuff like that to make it work. But I mean, you know, it is still Python. But as you go from one Houdini version to another, the odds of Python changing a lot is slim. So what I'm basically saying is it doesn't matter what version you're using right now. You don't have to specifically go to 17, or if you're in 17.5, don't worry, all of this is exactly the same. Okay, now this folder is what we're looking for, and if we go there, right, so if I open up this again, that's exactly where I've come here. Okay, so you'll see that's this folder. Now in here, yours may be empty, that's totally fine, but if we create some scripts in here called 123.py or 456.py, then these will be accessible. These are names that Houdini sort of understands and looks for. So it looks in this folder for these. If it doesn't find them, it just skips it. It doesn't need them. But if we create them, then we can populate this with some data. Now, just very briefly, you don't have to create these yet. We will have a lesson on it, so we'll create them then. But basically what happens is when you run an actual Houdini window, like a brand new Houdini, you literally open it up. It runs 123.py. And then when you open an actual file, so when you say file new, or when you say file open and point to a file, whichever one, it runs 456.py. Okay? And these scripts, we can then put whatever we want in here. And later on, we are actually going to use the 123.py mostly to do some things when we actually open Houdini. Okay, so just so you know where this is, primarily it's good to just maybe bookmark this location, because this is a very important script location that we will be scanning automatically, and then we can create scripts in here, 123.py and 456.py, right? All right, so next let's talk about PyCharm. So PyCharm is a very powerful program. It's an external, it's an IDE for Python, and really it just has incredible, really powerful tools for helping us build our scripts. Okay, just the way that even the colors that it uses, and tabbing things in for you. It's got loads of like little tools that we can run where you know we can like right click on things and run, you know, refractors and all sorts of stuff. Basically, I absolutely love working in PyCharm, like especially after learning, you know, when I started learning Python and then started working in PyCharm, it just made scripting fun, because it's like it just helps you. So big recommendation there that you guys use this. Now for this course we will be using it, so you'll need it at least for this course. There are other options out there, but really PyCharm is amazing, so I'd suggest that you use this. So you can just install it, like you just can Google for PyCharm. It's made by a company called JetBrains, and you can download, and you can use the you can get the fully fledged professional one if you absolutely want to, but for now, especially if you're newer to scripting or whatever, just stick to the free community one. It does everything. I mean, honestly, it's you won't even notice a difference. So yeah, it's really amazing. So download that, install that, and then just run it. There's nothing much else to do. You know, it runs perfectly. And we're going to be writing a lot of our external scripts in here, because we're offloading our scripts, you know, outside of Houdini. We don't want to have to you know, like always be loading them into Houdini, building it there, and then taking it outside or whatever. So we need some powerful program outside that allows us to type, but will also even maybe, you know, autocomplete for us and give us access to the modules. Like, you know, when you're typing, you know, node dot, then you want it to pop up with a list of options. So yeah. So once you've got PyCharm installed, then the only last thing I want to talk about in this lesson is a really good helpful location in the help file, something that's going to help you get set up if you need anything else, right? So just come to the normal help file over here and just look for Python script locations, right? Now, it's very unfortunate that this is named like this, because there's so much more information in this page than just the script locations. So I don't really understand why it's grouped under this, where it talks about a lot more than just the locations of the script, but actually like the behavior of it and everything, like just how to use things that you should set up. I mean, these tips. Now this help page is really, really useful. So in fact, there's a lot of this that we've even just covered now. So you'll find that here, like how to reference code from other locations, and, you know, talking about your startup scripts. So there we go, scripts 123.py and 456.py, right? Now this scripts over here, this is the script location, which is your Houdini user preference directory. Okay, so that was basically what I was explaining earlier. So that's all in here, and I mean, it talks about scripts that run at different times, like as you're saving your scene or loading your scene, different script callbacks and things. So there's a lot of really cool information in here. Some of it may get a bit confusing or go over your head, especially if you're newer to scripting, and that's fine. But I just want you to know of this page. More than anything, I would say, because we're going to cover most of this, especially the bits that are useful. So I would say for now you can just browse through this if you've got some spare time, but mostly just bookmark this, you know, write down this, or remember to go back here, so that later on when we actually are in the final module and you understand a lot more about the scripting and what we're doing, this page will be a really good reference for you if you're confused about anything. Okay. I mean, there's lots of other Python information as well in the help file, so you should really actually go through and look at as much of it as you can. There's a home cookbook in here that's just kind of cool, so we can learn how to do certain things. But really, that page, that Python script location, it has been very, very useful to me. So I just wanted to share that with you, because I find it's a very odd place to store it, and I always forget what it's called, and I'm like, hang on, where was that really useful page with all this stuff? So I just thought I'll mention it here, so you can bookmark this. Okay, so with all of that in place, we should be ready to go. Okay, we have PyCharm, so we can write our external scripts. We can save those scripts in a global location, which is okay. So we've got our 123.py and stuff, which will run before, and then also we've got our global location to store scripts, and then PyCharm will be running scripts from here, and Houdini knows to look in here for scripts, so those will load automatically in the Python shell. And if we run Python from the command terminal, that will also run as well. So we are able to basically access Python wherever we go, and we're able to access our scripts wherever we go. The only thing that right now we can't do is access scripts in our own project folder, but we're going to cover that later, because that's going to be part of the pipeline that we build. Okay, so I hope that was helpful to you guys, and I put it all in this one lesson for you, so that it's all nice and contained. So if you take nothing away from this course, just take this one lesson. It'll just help you get set up to do Python if you have a new machine. All right, so thank you everyone, and I'll see you in the next lesson.